Read why this pit bull refused to leave the animal shelter without his Chihuahua friend. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. We all know by now that dogs are one of the most loyal pets anyone could ever ask for. Dog lovers would know how much they love their owners. If you have ever owned a dog, you would surely feel the unconditional love that they shower us with every day. Dogs do not care about superficial things like how much money we have, who we are friends with, or what we look like. These are not the things they judge people by. Here we have a dog who takes friendship very seriously. She has proven this kind of unconditional loyalty that we are speaking about. If you are not aware of how faithful dogs can be as friends, this story will certainly educate you on this matter. She goes to show that dogs are not only loyal to their owners, but also to their other furry friends as well. This inspirational story started off like any other adoption story. A man walks into an adoption center to get a dog and falls in love with one pup. This would be a typical adoption story, except it's not. The dog had a very strange demand that left everyone quite puzzled. So one fine day, a man decided to make his way to the Rocket Dog Rescue in San Francisco. His main reason was to look for a dog he would adopt for his own. As he was looking around, he saw one dog that he wanted to keep for himself. The man could not walk away from a particular dog, a 3-year-old pit bull named Meryl. He had his eyes on her, and he was not about to leave without taking her home with him. But then as he was about to go home with her, there was a problem. Meryl did not want to leave. The big problem that the shelter faced was that Meryl did not want to leave the shelter without her best friend. The people working at the Rocket Dog Rescue had dedicated their time to help the areas around the shelter by reducing abused and homeless dogs that are in grave need of love and affection. These workers have given much effort to make sure they save as many dogs as they can because the streets were starting to crowd with homeless dogs. Their next and also equally important mission is for these dogs to get euthanized. The shelter has helped in saving many dogs that need to get saved from the harsh treatments of the street. Back in the year 2014, the volunteers took in a sick pit bull and an older Chihuahua. They soon became very close to each other. So the two dogs grew closer and closer day by day. Everyone at the shelter was aware of the fact that Meryl and her 8-year-old Chihuahua friend, Taco, were the best of friends. They were actually brought to the Rocket Dog Rescue together during the same time. Where these dogs had resided in the past could not be found out by the volunteers, so where they came from remained a big mystery. It was, however, very heartwarming to see these two form a close bond as best friends. You could say that they were an inseparable pair. Just a few moments of being apart made either one cry. That was how much Meryl and Taco were fond of each other. The people at the shelter knew that they were both very dear to each other, but what Meryl did surely surpasses all of their expectations of them as friends. It is very sad to know that most of the dogs that have been rescued from the streets often face health problems. The most get skin infections or bruises from multiple factors. It is probably due to the fact that they do not get proper safety measures and safeguarding that they so desperately need. This was the exact case for poor Meryl. During the time she was saved by the volunteers working at the Rocket Dog Rescue Shelter, Meryl was suffering from a terrible urinary tract infection. It was so bad that she actually needed surgery to help save her life. Taco remained very anxious and was clearly very worried about Meryl, who was in surgery. As soon as the surgery was done, the volunteers were planning on keeping Meryl alone, but then they were in for some trouble with this plan. Like we have mentioned earlier, these two dogs of different breeds, one pit bull and one Chihuahua, cannot remain separated even for a few moments. They end up crying and desperately pleading for each other's company. So when they tried to keep them apart from each other after Meryl's surgery, the same thing happened once again. They both would not stop their whining, calling out to each other. In the end, Taco was ultimately kept in the recovery room with Meryl. Taco showed that her loyalty was not a joke, was remained a helpful friend and moral supporter for Meryl while she was recovering. The volunteers were baffled by how much these dogs were showering each other with love and loyalty. They were also very anxious about how this bond would affect them later in the days to come. And from what had happened in the past, the volunteers working at the shelter knew that dogs that had special bonds with one another were always harder to adopt because people did not want to adopt multiple dogs at one go. But then the shelter still tried their best to give these dogs a home, where their new owners would give them love and affection. So the shelter enlisted both Taco and Meryl separately on their official website. Would this work? Because, as we had already read above, these dogs are too bonded to ever get separated from each other. Also, the shelter had revealed that it is much harder for older dogs to get adopted. Hence, there was no one who wanted to adopt Taco, but Meryl had a few offers. So then one fine day, there was a man who made his way into the shelter in the hopes of adopting a dog for himself. The man was looking through the different dogs that were there at the shelter, but was captivated by one particular dog. As soon as he saw Meryl, the man knew for a fact that this dog was the one for him. It was not so surprising because so many others wanted to adopt Meryl as well. So the shelter agreed, and after they finished with all the paperwork, the time came for Meryl to go home with her new owner. But something unexpected happened. As the shelter went to take Meryl out of the cage, Taco remained inside it. And just then, Meryl started to howl and did not want to stop. Her new owner was very puzzled. The man was very confused when Meryl would not stop crying when she was taken out of her cage. In his head, the dog should have been overjoyed after finding a new owner who was going to take her out of her cage life. So then the volunteers at the shelter informed the man of the fact that Taco and Meryl were the best of friends who could not be separated. They filled him in on the other stuff that had happened. Everything the two dogs were kept in different places. After hearing about their incredible story and their strong friendship, he was also convinced that the two dogs should not be separated. So the man made up his mind and went with another dog. The shelter then felt like they needed to fix their strategy. What could the shelter have done to get these poor dogs to have a home and get adopted? It seems as though every time there was hope for them, they were not chosen once again because of their friendship. So then, in the end, the staff made a conclusion. They all agreed that the two dogs needed to be kept together. They made changes on their website, and soon an interested adopter by the name of Jody offered to foster them. She would take care of these two until the two friends found a new home for themselves. She wanted to step in to save these dogs that were in need of a loving owner. But then, before they even expected it, there was a miracle that happened, and the two dogs would not have to suffer anymore. The shelter was very pleased to hear that there was a family that wanted to adopt the two dogs together. There was one family from San Jose that fortunately stumbled on the shelter's website, who immediately fell in love with Taco and Meryl's story. The family did not hesitate or waste a moment to act. They soon went to Jody's place so that they could meet the pups. Even after meeting them, their decision to make them family was not changed. They formed an instant bond with the two adorable dogs. So time was not wasted, and soon they made their way home. All of them, including the two dog best friends, were extremely excited to all leave together to go to their new home. This was just the beginning. As we have all read before, Taco was not a young dog, and so old age was getting to him. Due to his old age, Taco soon found himself going through a few health issues. The poor Chihuahua was suffering from multiple problems in his health, including asthma and dental disease. He was then left with only 4 teeth because of his disease. Up until then, the family was able to take care of Taco's health problems, as they were somewhat very minor. But then later the family took Taco to the vet after just a month. They were in for quite a surprise, as they did not expect to hear about any bad news, as they thought he was doing just fine. But there they found out things that weren't looking so positive for Taco. The family was hoping and praying that his fate would not end up for the worse. When they went to the vet, they informed them about Taco's heart that was enlarged and the fact that his lungs were filled with fluid. This was a very serious case that most dogs die from if not given proper medical treatment. So if the family did not act quickly and do something for Taco, then his heart would eventually fail him. So Taco was quickly put on medications and was soon scheduled for a visit with a specialist. The only thing left for the family to do was to hope for the best and pray for their dog that was obviously going through a lot. Since he was old, the family was also preparing themselves for the worst as well. Most senior dogs are very prone to dying after getting a serious surgery or medical treatment, so even Taco's family was aware that due to his age, the poor dog may never recover, but they did not want to lose hope and was not willing to give up the fight for their precious dog's life. They gave him a fighting chance and filled him with all the attention and love he may need. And just like Taco did not leave her side when she was suffering and recovering, Meryl stayed by her best friend's side and wouldn't budge. So then, after all of the ordeal that followed, Taco began to feel a lot better. He was visibly doing a lot better, and the family was quite happy to see his health progress. With the help of his family and his best friend's moral support, Taco's health soon became stable, and he was no longer in danger of experiencing heart failure. It was such a heartwarming thing to watch, as Meryl played a huge role in the recovery of her dear friend Taco. Although he is still suffering from respiratory problems with the need to take anti-seizure drugs and steroids for his lungs to live long, Taco does not have any other health issues that may disrupt his life. Even though he was quite sick and very frail, Taco did not let his sickness win him over. He remained positive and still managed to play around with Meryl and his dear family that showed him support throughout. We can all guess that since Meryl was a young adult, her energy would be extremely high, and that she would be incredibly active. So obviously, the main activity that she enjoys doing is to roll around in the grass and run around in the family's yard. And although he is not as fit as Meryl anymore, Taco still finds his own way to play and stay as active as he possibly can. Taco loves to be held by his human siblings and go wherever Meryl is playing. The most important thing is that the two best friends, Meryl and Taco, are still very thankful to still be living together. To see such a loving relationship between these two dogs whose friendship started from a shelter is truly a fulfilling sight. If you think the friendship between a Chihuahua and a Pit Bull is sweet and strange, wait till you see these adorable pictures here. Dogs make friends with other tiny creatures of different species. Nature is such a mystery because we often see some animals bicker with each other. Fighting with one another as soon as their eyes meet. You would think that a big animal would always want to hurt or harm a smaller animal because of what we normally see on television. But this duo right here proves this notion wrong. Look at the adorable pair that consists of a golden retriever and small hare. Have you ever seen a cuter picture? We all know that golden retrievers are known to be one of the friendliest breeds of dogs, but to actually see one sharing a close friendship with a hare is a rare sight. The only thing we can say is that things are looking up for this adorable duo. Well then, what about this cute duo that comprises of a dog and a small mouse? Dogs are usually very friendly and sweet even to other animals as long as they do not feel threatened or scared. So, we see here two completely different species in the animal kingdom sharing a bed. What could be sweeter? This dog is clearly a little tired and needs some rest, while the mouse seems to want some playtime. It appears as though the little mouse is asking the dog, saying, "Come on, buddy, time to get up and play." Looking at these two animals play around would be such a treat because of their obvious difference in size. The dog would have to be very cautious and careful so as not to hurt the little mouse. When we see a dog and a frog, what would we normally do? Most of us would freak out and try to shoo the frog away, right? They are usually seen as nasty freshwater creatures that need to be kept away from the house at all times. So what would happen if this dog kissed this small frog? Do you think a Princess and the Frog themed incident would take place? That does not seem so likely, but then you have to admit that sounds like a very promising movie that everyone would love to watch. How would these two communicate and what would they say? Do you think the frog would be as grossed out about other creatures as we are about it? This is, however, a cute picture that shows us that true friendship does not judge others based on species. What is the most precious and adorable thing for most of us? Majority of us would answer this question by saying that it is a baby or a dog. So then combine the two and what would happen? A picture that is overloaded with cuteness, that it makes us want to cry. Just look at this one here. A tiny baby girl is seen hugging a huge Saint Bernard dog and gives us a look of contentment. If this is the personification of what cute is, then what else could it be? Look at how the dogs receive the warm hugs with as much warmth as he possibly can give. Dogs are man's best friend, and so they are well equipped in handling even tiny human babies. This moment involving a baby and a dog will surely melt anyone's heart if they have one. Most of us are not very fond of lizards. Even the biggest and strongest men who work out and have abs of steel scream like little girls when they encounter house lizards. Just looking at these reptiles also gives many people the creeps and cause their skin to crawl. These cold-blooded animals are not usually very fond of other animals, so to see a lizard with a dog chilling and basking in the sun casually is one strange photo to look at. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Even for those who get creeped out by lizards, you have to admit that this friendship is totally sweet. A dog and lizard spending time together without either one of them trying to kill each other is something that does not happen very often. Sometimes we feel like we are born in the wrong dimension, the wrong place, or the wrong era. For this dog right here, he was born to the wrong species. It is sad to see that he is not a fish, and his love affair with them would never amount to anything due to their difference in size, distance, and completely incompatible respiratory systems. We feel you, boy. Butterflies are one of the most heavenly creatures. They are beautiful insects that are truly wonderful to look at and adore. So when this particular butterfly fell on the nose of this dog, it was a beautiful sight to see. Their short but intense friendship only lasted until the wind decided to change. Look at the dog's expression and how the two of them seem to be staring into each other's eyes. What is the best thing to do on the grass? We can all agree when we say that there is nothing like a good old springtime roll that we enjoy in the grass with our best friends. Feeling of ecstasy in that brief moment as we all laugh about and roll on top of the soft, lush green grass is an indescribable feeling. Look at these chicks with this beautiful white dog. They're filled with glee. Here's another case that involves a close friendship between a rodent and a dog. Just look at these two. They seem to be both enjoying their sweet slumber resting on this comfortable cushion and dreaming their lives away. We bet that they are having dreams about playing around together in an open field undisturbed by anyone. This is such an awe picture. To see a friendship spark between a tortoise and a dog? Impossible, right? But this was the case that happened when a big squishy newfie met this tough little tortoise. They were so fascinated with each other and remained inseparable. The two of them could not stay away from one another, and it leaves you wondering what mode of communication they must be using. We have all heard the tales about dogs and cats having animosity between each other. So what can you say about this pair? Looking at them getting cozy in a good snuggle under the sun. The dog looks majestic and the cat looks very protective of the dog. They both seem unbothered by what is going on with the rest of the world and doing their own thing, just like a best friend should. We are all well aware that Doberman dogs have a reputation for being one of the most threatening dog breeds. However, this dog here defies all logic, as he was very friendly with this little piggy. They ended up being very fond of each other and formed an immediate bond. It goes to show that sometimes some of us end up being friends with the most unexpected folks. See this image of two Captain Americas hugging this adorable dog. What could be more satisfying than one of the most popular superheroes giving you a hug? That too, in both his superhero outfit and his normal guy self. The dog here looks as though he's flaunting his tight bond with the two action figures. Who can say they have received a hug from a full-fledged superhero? Answer, this dog right here.